Jon Allen is a former Canadian ambassador to Israel, now with the Munk School of Global Affairs. Mr. Allen, welcome. Now, we just heard the Prime Minister say Canada is going to be firm and steadfast when it comes to a two-state solution for Israel and the Palestinians, but there are less specifics on Canada's policy for the future of Gaza. What's your sense of what we're hearing from the Canadian government?
Well, I'm very glad to hear that the Prime Minister is reiterating Canadian policy. It's been policy for many years, and in my view, obviously, this is not the time to be pushing it right now. But once the dust settles and once the pain on both sides begins to subside, and it will take time. And once we can get proper leadership into both Israel, getting rid of Bibi Netanyahu and having Mahmoud Abbas move on and getting some young, dynamic leadership in the Palestinian Authority, then I think we have to really begin to provide a horizon for peace and to look towards different things that each side has to do. And I would start with stopping any settlement expansion and getting rid of illegal settlements on the Israeli side. And I would, moving towards elections, legitimate elections in the PA, in the West Bank. On Gaza, we're going to have to see what happens. Ground invasion likely, an attempt to eliminate the political and the military leaders of Hamas, difficult. And then there's going to have to be some interim solution for Gaza. The PA can't go in there. They won't have credibility. I think we're going to need a combination of states to go in, perhaps, and try and manage Gaza as an interim authority with the UN playing a role there.
Okay, you're talking about some long-term solutions clearly here. I do want to ask you about some of the short-term Canadian diplomacy that's happening and the fact that Canada has yet to publicly line up behind Israel and the United States on their intelligence about this week's hospital bombing in Gaza. What do you think about how the Prime Minister and the government is handling this question?
Well, I'm only imagining that the Prime Minister hasn't seen the intelligence. It's very closely held. The intelligence authorities don't want to give away too much. In other words, they don't want to give away their sources and their methods of collection, etc. So I would imagine, in a way, unfortunately, it's in the hands of the Americans and the Israelis only. It would be better if it could be shared with the international community. So if it's true that it was not Israel, and that it was truly an accident, I think that would go some way to trying to calm the Arab street, which is really riled up now. It's not going to solve problems, but if it was really demonstrated beyond a doubt that this was an accident, i.e. Islamic Jihad rocket that misfired, and it wasn't Israel, then, that would take at least some of the pressure off.
Okay, and as we're talking, there is uncertainty about the humanitarian situation in Gaza and just when supplies are actually going to cross. We're seeing the UN Secretary General at the Rafah crossing with Egypt today. He's saying that the trucks that are lined up there need to get moving as soon as possible. What needs to happen right away on the humanitarian front?
Well, I think the Canadian government and the Americans and anybody else that can should be putting pressure on Israel to say enough is enough. Imposing a siege on Gaza, I don't think was a good idea. It was a horrible idea for the Palestinians, innocent civilians, mothers, babies, terrible for the hospitals. But it's a bad idea for Israel because it demonstrates that they're not showing the appropriate sympathy. We understand they have to defend themselves. We understand they feel a need to go in, but there's no need for innocent Palestinians to be starving, to be without water, to be without medicine. If they don't want to send fuel in because they think it's dual use, well, maybe, although hospitals do need fuel. But water, food, medicines, it seems to me there is no reason not to send that in. I know there have been allegations that Hamas has taken the goods, but the Red Cross has said they're ready to receive them. And if you could throw in a ton of it, not just the first 20 trucks, but many, many more trucks which are needed, Hamas isn't going to grab it all, if any.
Okay, we have a moment left, and I do want to stay with Hamas with you for my last question, which is about hostages. And Hamas reportedly saying that 2 of its 200 hostages are going to be released for humanitarian reasons, an American mother and daughter. Do you see any wider significance in that decision by Hamas?
Well, I mean, 2 out of some 200 Americans trying to appeal to America to, encourage Israel to start negotiating. Hamas should be releasing all of the children, all of the women, and all of the older people. If they want to hold soldiers, they can hold them. But they're not doing their own image any good by holding and putting the lives of hostages in danger. And these people deserve to be released. They've gone through hell, and Hamas should realize it's in their own interests to release them.
All right. Ambassador Jon Allen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Andrew.